Hello, some people have asked about this smoker, so I thought I'd do a video. Where do we start? Well, it's a centre feed, so that means the firebox is underneath the top chamber, which makes a lot of sense because the whole thing's a lot smaller, because otherwise the firebox needs to be at one end and it makes the thing a lot bigger. You don't waste any space underneath. So obviously the smokestacks are in the middle, and it's a reverse flow, so there's a baffle that runs all the way along with about 3 inches gap at each end. The fire goes in a basket, which you can slide out if you need it to. That's stainless steel, so it doesn't rust. It's about the only thing that is stainless on this, the rest of it's mild. Firebox is 5mm steel and the door is 6mm. There's a little glass window here, it needs a wash. That's just so you can see the fire. The dampers, which I never bothered to paint, and I'm regretting it now because they've rusted and they're a bit stiff. But the dampers are big. There's one on each side. They are bigger than Pit Count told me to do, because I thought, well, if I cut them and they're too small, I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. So I made them bigger than they needed to be. These wheels are pretty big and serious. It's the reason why there's this shape here. The whole thing weighs a lot, so this frame is pretty substantial. It's 3-inch box section, and the firebox is not welded to the base, it's bolted so that as it expands it can slide around and you can take it off if you want to transport it. Same here, it's bolted on, it's not welded on. There's a sort of ladder frame, and then these bolts, you undo the bolts, and the thread literally just goes through a hole in the cooking chamber. So you undo the bolts and then the whole top can slide off, and it goes in my pickup truck. So inside, these thermometers are just cheap ones off Amazon. They were about 10 quid each. I got 6 of them because the smoke was pretty big, so I wanted to be able to monitor everything. The exhausts are stainless tube, 3-inch tube, and I kind of cut them and made these little truck exhaust things on the end just because it looked nice and stopped rain going down them. So the only problem with this smoker is it doesn't have a way of holding the lid open. So if I make any more, I need to devise a way of holding the lid open. So at the moment, I just use a shitty bit of wood to hold the lid open. So there's 2 racks, that's one of them. There's a bit of jerky left on here. It was dark when it finished cooking, so I've left a bit on it. I need to clean it out. The grid itself is stainless, and the frame around the outside is mild. There's 2, they are 1250mm wide by 50mm deep, so for 2 racks, the other one's down there. For 2 racks you get just over a square metre of cooking space. The inside's not painted, it's just seasoned, and it's seemed to have seasoned quite nicely. And the seal is 15mm wide rope, which really needs replacing now. It does seal well, but it still needs replacing. The inside's got a bit of rust on it, but it's seasoned quite nicely, and it hasn't got any worse. The metal is 3mm steel, which I don't think is enough. At the time, I thought it would be alright. If I was going to make another, I'd probably do 4 or 5mm. The baffle plate is 6mm thick, and that's one of the gaps there. And there's another at that end. So the smoke goes. There's also, I should point out, the gap between the base and the baffle is 4 inches, and halfway up at 2 inches there's a shadow plate, which is a 6mm thick. Same thickness as the door, 6mm thick plate that basically just stops the intense heat from the fire just getting straight onto the baffle, because then you get a hot spot in the middle. So there's a shadow plate that lets the heat kind of rise up, hit it, and then go either side, and it goes up to the exhaust stacks up there. So that's it really. There's some latches to hold the door shut. Obviously there's that latch there. It burns pretty evenly. I run it on logs. I use charcoal to get it started, and then I run it on logs, and it gets through in a 18-hour smoke. It's probably about 1 kilo an hour of oak, and I chop it up with an axe and just chuck it in. So every hour I'll give it some more logs, and it stays fairly level. You do have to look after it. I've got 2 of the Maverick wireless thermometers for it, but it does a pretty decent job, and it's easy enough to transport. The handle is oak. I thought that was appropriate to make the handle out of oak. So that's it really. It'll fit 4 big pork shoulders on each rack, adds up to about 50 kilos of pork. Probably brisket's about the same size you'd fit. I've never done brisket in this one, I've just done pork and ribs in this one. I haven't had it that long, it's only been up and running about 6 months. So that's it really. That's about 400 kilos I reckon, but yeah, it works well.